Chapter 551, 314, The Great War Between Two Realms. Modern nuclear strike against the alien races of the Yuan land, _3. Linziken, from tens of miles away and bolstered by multiple biometric attributes like eye of the sky and danger perception, was constantly monitoring the situation on the battlefield. According to his prediction, such a large-scale nuclear onslaught should have been able to wipe out all the alien races of epic level and below. And indeed, just as he had thought, under the powerful impact of the nuclear explosion, all the exotic plants on the battlefield were instantly destroyed, reduced to ash and debris. However, as a wave of life-filled green light flared up, within mere seconds, the exotic plants that had just been reduced to ash and debris resurrected from the origin land, firmly rooting themselves back into the earth in their prime. "We're done, the nuclear blasts are ineffective," the destroyed exotic plants immediately came back to life. Shen Qinghan also saw the situation on the battlefield, and immediately her whole face was clouded with worry, her heart filled with unease. No sooner had she finished speaking than another wave of nuclear explosions erupted on the battlefield. Boom boom boom, accompanied by the earth-shaking noise of the nuclear blasts. One after another, huge mushroom clouds ascended, quickly engulfing the entire sky and casting the battlefield below into a sunless shadow. Those exotic plants that had just resurrected were once again obliterated by a new round of nuclear bombardment, reduced to nothingness. But soon, with the blessing of everlasting life, the exotic plants that had vanished the previous moment resurrected once more the next, taking root in the earth again. Boom boom boom. As soon as the exotic plants were resurrected, a new round of nuclear blasts struck. In this way, nuclear explosions destroyed the exotic plants, which then resurrected rapidly through everlasting life, repeating in a never-ending cycle without a moment's pause. Seeing this, Linziken instantly realized what was happening. The experts of Earth were trying to deplete the life force within the wood god by quickly eradicating the exotic plants with nuclear strikes. It was the use of modern society's technological power to drain the energy inside the bodies of the origin land's experts. This was another home field advantage besides the nearly extinct suppression of domain power. It was a technological advantage. Once Linziken understood this, the experts from the origin land realized it too. Soon, Lord of Silence, Elder Tree, Flower God, and Sea God, these four mythical level experts from the wood god's side, each revealed their magical prowess with precise strikes on the machines launching nuclear weapons. Qi Qingmo and the other mythical level experts from Earth's side immediately took action to prevent them from destroying the machines. Unfortunately, it was all in vain, and they couldn't stop them. In an instant, all machines capable of launching nuclear weapons were destroyed, and the previously incessant rumble of nuclear blasts came to an abrupt halt, as the entire battlefield returned to calm. On this side, atop a skyscraper's rooftop. Upon seeing the state of the battle, Linziken's expression became grave. The strategy of depleting the life force of the wood god had failed. Earth's side had fallen into a disadvantage again. Upon this, he couldn't help but mutter, unless the domain power of Earth can be restored, there's simply no chance for Earth's side in this interdimensional war. No sooner had his words fallen than Shen Qinghan beside him expressed agreement, "You're right." Her voice had lost its usual gentle fluidity, taking on a chill that didn't fit her demeanor. Hearing her voice, Linziken immediately turned his head to look at Shen Qinghan. Then he realized that Shen Qinghan's consciousness had been taken over by the water god at some point. Before he could voice his confusion, the water god spoke again, "As the son of the abyss, you can restore the vanished domain power on Earth." "Me?" Linziken looked puzzled, then frowned, and asked, "What do I need to do?" The water god's face was as calm as water as she replied, "It's not difficult, just connect the battlefield to the abyss, and you can easily do it. P.S. Setting out the bowl, asking for monthly pass recommendations." Chapter 552, 315, The Significance of Genetic Fusion. Connecting the battlefield to the abyss? What does that mean? Isn't the abyss Earth? The water god's words directly overturned Lin Zikin's previous speculation. Lin Zikin had previously speculated that earth and the abyss were the same thing. But according to what the water god is now saying, earth and the abyss are two different spaces. Thinking this, Lin Zikin asked the water god, what exactly is the relationship between earth and the abyss? An overlapping relationship. The water god answered in a cool voice. After speaking, she continued, earth and the abyss are two completely overlapping spaces that basically do not affect each other, except under very rare circumstances when they can communicate. There is a kind of void creature in the abyss that resembles a butterfly, which can enter other spaces through dreams, thereby creating a connection between the two spaces. Now, you just need to enter sleep, and in the dream find that kind of butterfly, and I can connect earth to the abyss. The kind of butterfly you're talking about, is it a giant butterfly with a crimson body surface that diffuses light spots containing a large amount of origin force? Lin Zikin asked. After hearing the water god's description, he felt that the butterfly mentioned by the water god was the abyss giant butterfly. The water god said indifferently, yes, the butterfly I just mentioned is the giant butterfly with a crimson surface that you referred to. After saying that, she continued, this giant butterfly is an extremely special entity, made up of condensed life origin energy left behind by various alien races that died in the abyss. To be strict, it doesn't count as a living being. So the so-called abyss giant butterfly is just a special energy mass, not a creature as we understand it. No wonder there is almost no sense of vitality in them. Lost in thought, Lin Zikin asked another question. I have another question. What exactly is the existence known as the Son of the Abyss, and why am I the Son of the Abyss? The water god replied, strictly speaking, you are not the Son of the Abyss. The Son of the Abyss, like the butterflies in the abyss, is an energy mass. The only difference is that the Son of the Abyss is a more special energy mass that continuously devours energy that matches its own characteristics. And you only possess some characteristics of the Son of the Abyss. After hearing this, Lin Zikin couldn't help but become even more confused. I only have some of the characteristics of the Son of the Abyss? What does that mean? Unwilling to guess on his own, he decided to ask the water god directly and save himself the trouble, why do I possess some characteristics of the Son of the Abyss? The water god replied, because your parents fused with the Son of the Abyss, but their physical bodies were weak and couldn't absorb the Son of the Abyss, they could only coexist with it. And you, born from their union, could fuse with the Son of the Abyss, which is why you have the characteristics of the Son of the Abyss. In order to prevent Lin Zikin from asking again after hearing this, the water god began to proactively explain other points. The Son of the Abyss is something I brought from the abyss. Your parents were able to fuse with the Son of the Abyss because of my arrangement. Back when I was being pursued by the wood god and was forced to flee into the abyss, I accidentally obtained the Son of the Abyss and then entered the earth. After entering earth, because the Son of the Abyss was unstable, I chose to store it in your parents' sea of consciousness. And I myself entered a woman's sea of consciousness who had a relatively outstanding water attribute and went into hibernation. This woman was the mother of your childhood sweetheart Shen King Han Su Meng. While I was hibernating, the energy I emitted continuously nourished Su Meng. When she became pregnant with your childhood sweetheart, I switched to nourishing your childhood sweetheart, ensuring she was born with an exceptionally outstanding water attribute. Then, on the day your childhood sweetheart was about to be born, I switched to her sea of consciousness to continue my slumber, waiting for the day I would fully awaken. After explaining this point, the water god quickly went on to explain others. Living beings from origin land who want to enter Earth must pass through the abyss that overlaps with Earth. And the abyss, for living beings that use origin force as their life origin energy, is a terrifying life forbidden zone. Once they're within it, their internal origin force will be continually devoured. Even strong beings like me and the wood god cannot resist the devouring power of the abyss. The only reason I was able to successfully pass through the abyss and enter Earth was thanks to my ability for elementalization. In an elementalized state, I could greatly reduce the speed at which the abyss devoured my origin force. That was how I survived, by sneaking into Earth back then. And the wood god, who couldn't get past the abyss back then, spent years of painstaking research and successfully found a way to enter Earth through the abyss without harm, that is, by establishing a biological passage. Pausing there, the water god continued. Because Earth overlaps with the abyss, it also possesses some of the abyss's characteristics, such as suppressing living beings that use origin force as their life origin energy. The difference is, Earth doesn't devour origin force like the abyss does, it suppresses origin force, preventing part of a living being's internal origin force from participating in bodily functions. And this is what you often refer to as domain power suppression on Earth. When I first entered Earth, the domain power was very strong. And it suppressed my biological level down to legendary level. But after so many years of weakening, the domain power on Earth is now almost non-existent, its suppression on living beings from origin land extremely weak, so weak it's practically non-existent. No, to be more precise, it's not that the domain power has disappeared, but that it no longer suppresses living beings from origin land. Chapter 553, 315, The Significance of Genetic Fusion _2. The reason is that the elements of origin force on Earth have become more and more numerous, successfully integrating into the Earth's environment and becoming part of the Earth. And the reason why the elements of origin force are becoming more numerous is that the life origin of the alien races on Earth has increased. The water god spoke, his eyes shimmering with a cold, liquid light as he looked at Linziken, calmly saying, "The increase in the life origins of alien races is for a reason I believe you can figure out on your own." Upon hearing this, Linziken slightly furrowed his brows, then said with some uncertainty, "Genetic integrators." "Yes, exactly, the genetic integrators." The water god continued his explanation. Genetic fusion is a grand conspiracy originating from the wood god. Normally, origin force cannot exist on Earth, it is suppressed by the Earth's domain power. It can be understood that origin land is foreign to Earth, causing Earth to have a rejection response. Later, the wood god discovered that when origin force is fused with living beings on Earth, there will be no rejection response from Earth. It was also discovered that the more elements of origin force there are on Earth, the weaker the Earth's suppression of origin force becomes. It seems as the elements of origin force increase on Earth, Earth began to gradually stop treating origin force as something foreign. Since that day, the wood god began to conspire with traitors to promote genetic fusion. After hearing this explanation from the wood god, Linziken resolved many long-standing doubts in his mind. First, the reason why creatures from origin land wanted to invade Earth was because the water god, with the gold, fire, and earth origins, had escaped to Earth, and the wood god had to invade Earth for the 5 elements unification. Second, so as to invade Earth, the wood god had spent years researching a biological passage. Third, after arriving on Earth through the biological passage, the wood god found that Earth's domain power was extremely strong. To mitigate this suppression, he developed genetic fusion. Now, the years of plotting by the wood god had been realized. Seeing the opportunity was ripe, he began to mobilize forces to invade Earth, to obtain the other 4 elements origins and achieve his 5 elements unification. While Linziken was contemplating these things, the water god across from him spoke again calmly. "You might still have other doubts. But, given the limited time we have now, you need to enter the dream realm quickly, find that kind of butterfly, and help me connect this battlefield with the abyss. Once connected to the abyss, the domain power on Earth will soon become much stronger, suppressing the creatures from origin land even more. Your other doubts can be addressed by me afterward." Listening to the water god's urging, Linziken didn't immediately enter the dream realm. He didn't trust this so-called water god. Unsure of how much truth was in his words. Because from what the wood god had said, the water god was a cunning and deceitful being. He didn't know if the water god might have some ill intentions, or if he also stood on his opposite side. In this world of survival of the fittest, keeping an extra eye out on everything was essential for better survival. Boom! Suddenly, a massive explosion erupted. The center of the battlefield exploded into an extremely dazzling fireball, illuminating the whole of Shanghai City and even the entire Nanjiang province. Lin Zikan looked towards the source of the sound and saw Qi Qingmo and others severely injured in the explosion, in a state of disarray, with the earth side at a significant disadvantage. On the other side, the forces from Origin Land, under the continuous enhancement of the Wood God, were still at full strength. Seeing this, Lin Zikan knew he had no choice. Whether or not the Water God was deceiving him, he had to immediately enter the Dream Realm to search for the Abyss Giant Butterfly. He was curious to see if, as the Water God had said, it could restore Earth's domain power to suppress the alien races from Origin Land. Thinking this, he no longer hesitated and with a grave expression, he said to the Water God, "I will enter the Dream Realm now to see if I can reach the Abyss and find that kind of giant butterfly. I hope you can successfully link the Earth with the Abyss." Having said that, he moved his thoughts, gathering all his current thoughts. The moment his thoughts were gathered, he instantly entered the Dream Realm. In the Dream Realm, as soon as Lin Zikan opened his eyes, he found himself in an opaque darkness, similar to the abyss he had encountered before. If nothing had gone wrong, he had successfully entered the abyss in his dream. Assured he was in the abyss, Lin Zikan didn't waste a second, quickly moving directionlessly through the abyss, hoping to encounter the abyss giant butterfly soon. Then, in less than half a minute, he successfully encountered a group of abyss giant butterflies. It wasn't that he was lucky, it was purely coincidental. The abyss giant butterflies were attracted by the aura he emitted and actively followed it to find him. Soon, the group of abyss giant butterflies he encountered started to circle neatly above his head, releasing a large amount of light spots downward. Just as he was about to absorb these light spots, the pitch-black abyss suddenly echoed with a clear sound of flowing water. At the moment the sound arose, he felt a coolness from water elements under his feet. He wasn't surprised. He knew this was the Water God's doing. If nothing went wrong, Earth and the abyss would soon be connected. Thinking this, Lin Zikan quietly bathed in the falling light spots, waiting for the forthcoming performance by the Water God. In less than 3 seconds, the environment, which had been pitch black, quickly brightened, and a vast array of familiar scenes appeared. A fireball shooting up to the sky. Continuous loud booming sounds. Shen King Han, or should we say the Water God, standing quietly by. Seeing these familiar surroundings, Lin Zikan realized he had awakened from his dream. Then, he immediately opened all his senses to check the current situation in the center of the battlefield. On sighting, he was pleasantly surprised to find that what had been a one-sided battle now showed signs of turning around. It wasn't that Qi Qingmo and others had become stronger, but rather that the strength of Wood God and other powerful beings from Origin Land had weakened. The Water God hadn't lied, Earth's domain power had indeed once again formed a strong suppression against Origin Land's creatures. Hum! Suddenly, a sharp sound of splitting the air abruptly arose. The Water God's figure flashed, transforming into a beam of light speeding towards the center of the battlefield. At the moment of taking off, he said to Lin Zikan who was by his side, "Come, let's go to the center of the battlefield to fight," taking advantage of the strong suppression of the domain power to quickly eliminate the Wood God. Lin Zikan, without a moment's hesitation, soared into the sky, turning into a beam of light following the Water God. P.S. Bold placed, seeking monthly pass and recommendation tickets. This book, actually, from the moment the male and female leads grew up, the story ended. The rest of the story, I wrote with great difficulty, then gradually very perfunctorily, basically didn't think too much, wrote whatever came to mind. If it were other authors, probably many would choose to abandon the project. But, even if I mess up, I'll still properly finish the book without abandoning it, which might be my only good trait. Back to the content of the book. Actually, the correct way to write this book isn't to go in the direction of urban martial arts but towards the genre of longevity. Simply put, it means writing in a way that fast-forwards the timeline. For example, after the male and female leads grow up, don't slow down the passage of time but continue to speed it up. In just a few 100,000 characters, write about the male and female leads marrying, having children, gradually aging, surrounded by children and grandchildren, and then countless descendants, generation after generation. At the same time, write about various evolutionary geniuses, striving to become mythical level creatures, one after another falling, becoming mere dust of the era. It's a pity not to write it this way. Lastly, one very important thing. I really like the female lead Shen King Han. I really like the female lead Shen King Han. I really like the female lead Shen King Han. She's the character I've liked the most in the 3+ years I've been writing. I don't know what else to say. Let's talk about the new book then. It's an original copy of The Infinite Flow. If nothing goes wrong, it should be released on December 1st. I hope all the readers can come and support it then. Chapter 554, 316. Certify the mythical level creature. At the heart of the battlefield, the wood god's side, which held an absolute advantage, suddenly faced suppression from Earth's domain power again. Their strength significantly decreased. They could no longer suppress the Earth's side in battle. Even more so, they faintly fell into a disadvantage, getting counter-suppressed by several mythical level experts led by Qi King Mo. The situation was able to reverse so rapidly mainly because the wood god's biological level was suppressed, reducing the effectiveness of the everlasting power and causing the wood god's side to lose their undying advantage. What's going on? Why did the domain power suddenly recover? The wood god, filled with confusion, felt the suppression on himself. While he was bewildered, his side's experts were beaten back step by step. Completely unable to withstand the assault from Qi King Mo and the others. Especially the sea god, who had previously chosen to defect. At this moment, he became the thorn in the eyes of the Earth's side, attacked jointly by Qi King Mo and Sima Xiao. Qi King Mo was responsible for the physical attacks. Sima Xiao handled the mental attacks. Under their joint assault, in just a few seconds, the sea god's body was beaten into a mist of blood, and his spirit was plunged into chaos. Lord Wood God, save me! With the significantly weakened enhancements from Everlasting, the sea god barely reconstituted his flesh and blood and immediately cried out for help to the wood god. Just as he finished speaking, buzz! A sound of breaking the air abruptly arose. The wood god controlled a vine of suddenly vibrant vitality toward the sea god, instantly entwining his entire body and rescuing him from the joint pursuit of Qi King Mo and Sima Xiao. As the vine helped him escape, it also sprouted numerous tendrils on its surface that pierced into his body, continuously infusing life force into him. Nourished by the wood god's life force, he instantly returned to his peak condition. I am alive again. The sea god, having narrowly escaped death, was filled with relief from surviving the catastrophe. He had thought that joining the wood god in invading Earth would be a safe and risk-free undertaking. He had never anticipated that the greatly weakened domain power could recover. This had almost cost him his life on Earth. Lord Wood God, should we retreat for now and go back to the origin land to plan again? Fearful of death, the sea god suggested with lingering fear. He knew that, being a traitor, he would continue to be targeted by Qi King Mo and the others. Continuing the battle, he was highly likely to perish. Invading Earth had no actual benefits for him. There was no need to risk his life to help the wood god achieve the 5 elements unification. There's no need to go back. The wood god spoke in an ancient and weary voice. The moment his words fell, his humanoid body transformed into sprawling green vines, which crisscrossed in an instant and formed a gigantic cage that enveloped the entire battlefield under shadows, completely isolating it from the outside world. Henceforth, a special domain appeared on Earth, belonging neither to earth, the abyss, nor the origin land, the wood domain. Within the wood domain, earth's domain power was directly blocked outside, and the wood god's side regained the highest strength of everlasting enhancements. The domain I have created can only last for a quarter of an hour, quickly eliminate these earth living beings. The wood god, incarnated as the green vine cage, spoke urgently, no longer as calm as before. Hearing this, Elder Tree, the flower god, lord of silence, sea god, without any hesitation, burst out their origin force, attacking Qi King Mo and the other mythical level experts with their strongest form. At the same time, the wood god, incarnated as the cage, also summoned numerous vines that attacked Qi King Mo and the others with a momentum that obscured the sky and sun. Boom! Booming! Boom! In an instant, the sounds of fierce clashes rose like surging seawater, continuous, deafening, even eroding the air, as if the end of the world came with light that annihilated all life force. Yet, with such intense noises, the green vine cage remained unharmed. The entire cage, like transformed from rules, regardless of the severity of attacks it faced, remained undamaged, only to self-destruct after a full quarter of an hour. I can't hold on much longer, help me. Sumai Xiao, physically weaker, became the first target to be focused fire by the sea god and others. Under their deliberate targeting, she quickly could not resist, both her body and spirit receiving tremendous damage. However, at this moment, whether it was Qi King Mo, Xian Yuan Wanyu, or Elder Li and Sima Xian, these two lust-driven men, all appeared somewhat preoccupied under the violent attacks of the enemy, fundamentally unable to spare any effort to rescue Sumai Xiao. Realizing this, Sumai Xiao's face suddenly filled with despair. As she was on the verge of complete destruction, she shouted out to the wood god, letting go of all pride, "Lord Wood God, I am willing to follow you." She did not want to die, did not want her kinsfolk from Green Hill's ancient mountain to be buried on earth. She chose to side with the advantage, thus gaining a semblance of life force. Granted. The wood god's ancient and weary voice echoed from above, reaching the ears of every living being inside the cage. At the moment his voice sounded, a verdant green vine, wrapped in vibrant life force, transformed into a stream of green light shooting toward Sumai Xiao below, instantly piercing through her heaven's gate. Then, a vast rush of life force poured into her body like a stream, quickly repairing her battered body. At the same time, it invaded her sea of consciousness, taking control of her divine sense, ensuring she could not betray. "You damned seductress, all the fox women of your mountain shall become nothing more than bed slaves." Chapter 555, 316, Prove the Way Mythical Level Creature _2. Witnessing Sumai Xiao's betrayal, Xian Yuan Wanyu, as the Earth Ball Master, cursed loudly on the spot. On the other side, Elder Li and Sima Xian were also showing their anger. They had not expected the fox fairy they adored to be such a cowardly villain who turned traitor so quickly. "Everyone, the situation is hopeless. There's no need to turn to nothingness in this battle where victory cannot be seen. Join me, and let us confront the water god together, evolving to a higher level. The disaster that Earth is currently facing is all brought by the water god. He is your true enemy." The ancient and vicissitudes-filled voice echoed non-stop within the cage, beguiling Qi King Mo and the others. Soon after, Sumai Xiao, who had just defected to the wood god's side, spoke with a gentle voice like water, trying to persuade them, "Lord Wood God is right. Why should we continue fighting to the end when we can coexist?" As she spoke these words, her mesmerizing eyes stared intently at Elder Li and Sima Xian, attempting to convince her two old comrades with her gentle demeanor. "Don't be deceived by the wood god." Suddenly, a cold voice came from underground. Shortly after the voice was heard, a great amount of groundwater emerged from underground and, under everyone's watchful eyes, condensed into the shape of a graceful young girl. The first sight of the girl made Qi King Mo pause in shock. "King Han? How could it be her?" Qi King Mo looked at Shen King Han, who suddenly appeared in the cage, her face filled with confusion and disbelief. But soon, she spotted the clue. No, not King Han. It was the water god. She sensed an extremely powerful energy fluctuation from the Shen King Han in front of her. It was an energy as powerful as the wood god. Apart from the water god, who was of the same mythical level as the wood god, no other being could possess such powerful energy fluctuations. On the other side, the moment the water god appeared, the nearby sea god's expression changed drastically, his heart instinctively filled with fear, wanting to flee the scene. The water god's power had long been ingrained in his heart. Even though he had now evolved to the supreme mythical level creature and received the protection of the wood god, his body still trembled uncontrollably when facing the water god. The water god noticed this former traitor. However, the water god simply continued speaking in a cold voice. Both Earth and the origin land are composed of the 5 elemental origins: metal, wood, water, fire, and earth. Once a being achieves 5 elements unification, all 5 elemental origins contained within Earth and the origin land will be devoured by that being. And Earth and the origin land, once stripped of these 5 elemental origins, will instantly collapse into nothingness. The reason I stopped the 5 elements unification in the past was precisely because I realized this. No sooner had his words fallen than the next second, the sea god, who was overwhelmed with fear nearby, shouted hysterically, "Don't believe the water god. He has no emotions and certainly won't give up on 5 elements unification just because Earth and the origin land would be destroyed." The water god looked expressionlessly at the sea god hiding behind the wood god. In his calm gaze, it seemed as though there was a terrifying power that caused the fear in the sea god's heart to burst forth like a fountain. Unable to restrain the fear in his heart, the sea god chose to flee in the next instant, rushing towards the entrance of the biological passage at the fastest speed of his life. Just as he was about to reach the entrance, boom! A great amount of groundwater shot up from the entrance of the biological passage, forming a huge palm that crushed the sea god, who wanted to escape back to the origin land, into a mass of blood and water, staining the entire palm condensed from water red. The mythical level experts present all silently witnessed this scene. It was only when they realized that the sea god, crushed into blood and water, did not resurrect under the blessing of everlasting, that expressions of shock and even fear began to appear on the faces of these mythical level experts. Everlasting had failed. The creatures killed by the water god could not be resurrected under the blessing of everlasting. At this moment, all eyes were fixed on the water god, filled with fear of this mysterious deity. The sea god died too quickly, with no resistance whatsoever. This made all the mythical level experts present feel a sense of shared sorrow, worried that they might all meet the same fate eventually. Especially Sumai Xiao, who had just defected to the wood god's side. At this moment, the face of the pure and alluring beauty was deathly pale, filled with terror in her eyes. The water god was a deity on the side of earth, and she feared that after the water god finished killing the sea god, he would be next to strike her down as a traitor. However, her worries were superfluous. The water god did not strike at her, but chose to strike at the wood god that had transformed into the green vine cage. The water god had not yet fully recovered, and the energy contained within was scarce. To him, the most urgent task at hand was to dismantle the wood domain of the wood god, allowing the domain power that was previously isolated to return to the battlefield. Quickly, as the water god's eyes focused, a torrential downpour suddenly began within the entirety of the green vine cage. Countless large raindrops fell densely from the sky, pit-pattering as they struck the ground. The moment the raindrops appeared, the invincible green vine cage began to rapidly disintegrate at a visibly fast rate. The intertwining vines of the cage, deprived of their moisture, all withered into shriveled decayed branches, continuously sliding from the air. In just the blink of an eye, the green vine cage, which had previously blotted out the sky, was now no more. The wood domain that isolated domain power had completely crumbled. Faced with this situation, the Flower God, Elder Tree, and Lord of Silence, the three mythical level experts of the Wood God's side, all showed expressions of panic and the will to retreat. The Wood God, who was their leader, had a faint smile on his face and addressed the Water God. Showing yourself saves me the trouble of having to look for you later. The moment his words ended, the Wood God transformed once again into a sky full of green vines, surging towards the Water God with endless origin force. He was very clear that the Water God had not yet fully recovered and had not much energy left. If he could just engage with the Water God for a while, the Water God would soon be defeated. Faced with the incoming Wood God, the Water God did not clash head-on. Instead, he quickly switched to an elemental state to minimize the damage inflicted by the Wood God. Seeing this, Qi King Mo swiftly transformed into a streak of light charging at the Wood God, assisting the Water God. Xian Yuan Wanyu and the others, upon seeing this, also followed in killing towards the Wood God. The Flower God, Elder Tree, and Lord of Silence also killed their way over almost simultaneously. The green vine cage dissolved. The Water God had long had his eye on the enemy, to kill and to recover the water origin within him to become stronger. All the remaining origins, Lin Zikan would devour them all, evolving to the mythical level. P.S. Begging for monthly passes and recommendation tickets. This book actually ended from the moment the male and female leads grew up. Everything written after was quite painful for me, and then I slowly started to write more perfunctorily, basically not thinking much as I wrote whatever came to mind. If it were another author, probably many would choose to abandon the story. But you know, even as I degrade in quality, I will finish this book properly without abandoning it. That may be my only good point. Back to the story. Actually, the correct way to write this book isn't to follow the path of urban high martial arts but to lean towards the theme of longevity. Simply put, it means to fast forward the timeline continuously in the writing. For instance, after the male and female protagonists grow up, don't slow down the passage of time, but continue to accelerate it. In a few 100,000 words, write about the protagonists getting married and having children, gradually aging, gathering a full house of offspring. Then countless generations after generations. Meanwhile, write about various evolving geniuses, who, in their pursuit of becoming mythical level creatures, fall one after another, becoming insignificant dust in the era. Sigh, it's a pity I didn't write it that way. Finally, I have something very important to say. I really like the female lead Shen King Han. I really like the female lead Shen King Han. I really like the female lead Shen King Han. She's my favorite character I've created in over 3 years of writing. I'm not sure what else to say. Let's talk about the new book. It's an infinite flow based on original instances. If all goes as planned, it should launch on December 1st. I hope all my readers will come and support it. Chapter 556, 317, Visions of Heaven and Earth from the Abyss. The brilliant battlefield suddenly plunged into endless darkness. The mythical level experts within, including the Water God and Wood God, completely lost their 5 senses, their vision engulfed in darkness. What happened? What exactly happened? At this moment, mythical level experts from both Earth and Origin Land were plunged into unknown panic. As mythical level experts, they had always been superior, looking down upon the world, dominating everything around them. Never had they felt as helpless and unsettled as now. The Water God and Wood God, standing at the pinnacle of combat power, both stopped fighting, neither daring to act rashly, their faces furrowed with confusion and puzzlement. The deep blackness that could swallow the senses was all too familiar to them, having been in similar environments before. It was the abyss. The darkness before them was exactly like the environment in the abyss, without a single difference. But what's going on? Why did the entire battlefield suddenly turn into the abyss? Was it natural? Or was it man-made? The Water God and Wood God couldn't figure it out. The more they thought about it, the more uneasy they felt. Especially the Wood God, being on foreign territory, suspected that this darkness was the handiwork of the water god, and he was already contemplating retreat. If it weren't for the darkness around, making it impossible to distinguish direction, he would have already dashed into the creature's passage, returning to Origin Land to plan further, without taking any risks. And while these experts were feeling uneasy and at a loss, the pitch-black battlefield gradually began to brighten. Then, all the experts clearly sensed a massive gravitational force coming from above their heads. Looking up in the direction of the gravity. The next second, what appeared in these experts' eyes was a massive black hole devouring everything. Upon seeing the black hole, a great perplexity arose in the hearts of the experts. A black hole? Why would there be a black hole here? Could it be a fantasy realm? While most of the experts thought this, suddenly, the gravitational pull from the black hole above their heads increased significantly, instantly sucking them all inside. Completely powerless to resist. Sucked in an instant. At the moment of being sucked in, the experts lost their senses once again, plunging into a void of darkness. But soon, the darkness dispersed. Their vision filled with a great deal of bright light. Familiar things once again entered their eyes. When the experts regained their senses, they found themselves back on the battlefield. The positions they occupied were exactly the same as before they were engulfed by darkness, not having moved an inch. About this, the experts all harbored the same guess. That recent darkness might have just been a fantasy realm, not that they were really transported to another space and then back again. Hey! Suddenly, the experts all noticed a figure. On that figure was emanating an aura belonging to a mythical level creature. Another mythical level expert inexplicably appearing on the battlefield caused everyone to furrow their brows, their minds incessantly brooding. Among them, those who recognized this figure were filled with shock, finding it hard to believe. Qi Qingmo, with his deep and beautiful eyes, looked surprised. Had Ziyi Chen actually evolved into a mythical level creature? Xian Yuan Wanyu, showing a shocked expression, wondered how the Son of the Abyss suddenly evolved into a mythical level creature. The water god remained calm, knowing it was Lin Zichen who had devoured the pool of the sea god's blood. That pool of the sea god's blood was specifically left for Lin Zichen. He needed Lin Zichen, who was deeply tied to the abyss, to evolve into a mythical level creature to help him deal with the wood god. The wood god, a highly ranked ancient deity, was not something he could completely handle on his own. Only by borrowing the power of the abyss could he possibly eradicate the wood god, making him vanish from this era. More precisely, not vanish, but make the wood god lose his self-consciousness and become dispersed elements of wood around the world. Or rather, the origin of wood. On the other hand, Lin Zichen, who had successfully evolved into a supreme mythical level creature, was carefully sensing the changes within his body. Both his qi blood strength and spiritual strength had experienced exponential substantial upgrades. His sensory perception could now cover the globe. These enhancements to his body were all within Lin Zichen's expectations. What surprised him was that his sea of consciousness, originally clear and transparent, had now turned pitch black. This darkness was not simply nothingness, it contained a tremendously vast energy. It was an energy far purer and more powerful than both qi blood and spirit. Lin Zichen realized that this darkness in the sea of consciousness might be energy from the abyss, originating from the Son of the Abyss. Without much thought. Soon, Lin Zichen returned from these reflections. His eyes darkened as he met the gazes of several mythical level experts. Mythical 4th Order. Mythical 5th Order. Mythical 7th Order. Mythical 9th Order. With the enhancement of danger perception, Lin Zichen discovered that he could now glimpse the biological information of creatures he had never been able to before, having evolved into a mythical level creature. The biological information he glimpsed was slowly emerging within the sea of consciousness. Aside from the water god and the wood god, all the other mythical level experts present were completely revealed by his inspection. The mythical level creatures being observed by him all displayed shocked expressions, finding it unbelievable. What's going on? How could a newly emerged mythical level creature manage to glimpse so many biological information of veteran mythical level experts? What kind of method was this? Chapter 557, 317. Visions of Heaven and Earth from the Abyss _2. After peering at the biometric information, Lin Zikin, under the watchful eyes of the mythical level experts, ripped open a crack in the air with his bare hands and stepped across the void to arrive beside Qi Qingmo, becoming one of Earth's mythical level experts. He could have gone directly next to the water god. But compared to the water god, he preferred to trust Qi Qingmo. The water god didn't know what he was thinking. Upon seeing him evolve into a mythical level creature, she regained her wits and said to him without a second's delay. You now possess the complete ability to connect with the abyss, just like plunging the entire battlefield into darkness, turning the battlefield into your own home ground. As she spoke, a hint of urgency could be heard in the water god's voice. She couldn't wait to deal with the wood god, to annihilate it on Earth, lest any delay allowed it to escape back to the origin land and return with reinforcements in the future. Lin Zikin, urged by the water god, didn't hesitate for a moment, intuitively linking the battlefield and the abyss. The moment the two realms were successfully connected, the previously bright battlefield instantly darkened. It wasn't the pitch black of being unable to see one's own fingers, but rather a murky darkness. Just having evolved into a mythical level creature, Lin Zikin's strength, although greatly enhanced, was limited and unable to fully connect Earth and the abyss. At best, he could plunge Earth into hazy darkness, bringing stronger domain power and further suppressing the origin land creatures. Although the suppression was limited, as long as it weakened the strength of the wood god's side, it was enough for the powerful water god. The advantage was significant. Kill it first. The wood god, feeling threatened by Lin Zikin, spoke in a low voice to Elder Tree and other subordinates. At the moment the command was uttered, his entire body transformed into countless green vines, shooting from the void towards Lin Zikin. Behind him, the flower god, Elder Tree, Lord of Silence, and Sumai Xiao also showcased their divine abilities, all moving with extreme speed to attack Lin Zikin. These four mythical level experts, now sharing life and death with the wood god, had no choice but to follow through to the end in lockstep with the wood god. Facing the targeted assault from the wood god's side, Lin Zikin wasn't the least bit flustered and quickly retreated behind Qi Qingmo for refuge. Since Earth and the abyss had connected, the wood god's side's strength had been severely weakened, no longer matching that of Earth's side. Under these circumstances, Lin Zikin merely needed to stay in the back, ensuring his own safety, and leave the rest for Qi Qingmo and other experts to handle. Soon, Earth's side, led by the water god, clashed with the origin land's side, led by the wood god. In an instant, terrifying shockwaves burst from the center of the conflict, shattering the air with cracks and filling the space with energy fluctuations. Lin Zikin, sensing the terrifying shockwaves, immediately distanced himself further to ensure his safety. In just a few seconds, mythical level experts began to fall at the center of the conflict. With every fall of a mythical level creature, celestial phenomena spread across the sky. Numerous crimson buds appeared high above, blooming at a visible speed and then withering just as quickly, until they dissolved into nothingness. From these phenomena, Lin Zikin knew that the flower god had fallen. The flower god, no longer sustained by everlasting, was the first to fall in this mythical level battle. Seeing this, Lin Zikin immediately swung his hand, tearing open a massive rift in the air, stepping across the void to where the flower god fell, reaching out to touch the remains. Then, with the thought, devour. You have devoured a large amount of the Sun and Moon Holy Flower life origin, successfully acquiring biometric attributes withering. Withering, you can strip away the life force within all things, accelerating their withering. You have devoured a large amount of the Sun and Moon Holy Flower origin force, transforming origin force into Qi blood and spirit, greatly enhancing your Qi blood strength and spiritual strength. Your biological level has successfully evolved from mythical first order to mythical third order. Evolved 2 levels directly? Looking at the content in the message prompts, Linziken's face was covered with disbelief and a hint of unexpected joy. He had never expected that, at the mythical level, he would still be able to jump levels as simply as drinking water, which was truly shocking. On the other side, the wood god, locked in fierce combat with the water god, sensed Linziken's continuous 2-level evolution and was immediately overcome with shock and disbelief at the scene unfolding before him. The wood god had lived through countless epochs and had seen fast evolution, but never this fast. At the mythical level, to still be able to leapfrog evolution, was beyond the category of creatures, at least not within the category known to him. This child must not be left alive. He must be killed today. Otherwise, endless troubles will ensue. With this thought, the wood god held nothing back, expending his future potential to burst forth with several times his strength, immediately overpowering the water god with no chance to resist, exhausting the energy within the water god. After beating the water god into helplessness, the wood god released even more energy, in the swiftest, most piercing, and fiercest manner, charging directly at Linziken. To execute this heaven-defying existence with deep ties to the abyss, on the spot. Seeing the wood god charging towards him, Linziken's thoughts immediately erupted with spiritual power, tearing open a giant rift beside him, then in a flash he dove through the crack to dodge the wood god's attack. The wood god, almost simultaneously, tore open a rift, commanding a mass of green vines to surge through it, chasing after the fleeing Linziken. In an instant, Linziken, attempting to flee, was entangled by several green vines, becoming immobilized, and then the vines yanked him out through the rift. The moment he was pulled out, Linziken released an immensely powerful surge of energy, shattering all the green vines into splinters, and then once again disappeared into the rift. The water god didn't actually want the 5 elements unification. She was enticed by the power of the void. Believing the power of the void to be far stronger than that of 5 elements unification. The water god was bad. She intended to sacrifice Shen King Han. And then, she was stopped by Linziken. At the end, the water god was completely absorbed by Shen King Han, leaving Shen King Han unconscious. The wood god, having achieved 4 elements unification and aiming for 5 elements unification, desired to devour other experts, but was obstructed. Then, commanded his subordinates to deal with Shen King Han. Linziken stood guard over a solitary fortress. Let's see how to design a scene of him guarding the solitary fortress. Annihilating mythical level experts in various ways. P.S. I'm begging, please vote for the monthly pass and recommendation ticket. In fact, the story of this book effectively ended the moment the male and female leads grew up. The stories that followed, I wrote with great difficulty, then gradually wrote them half-heartedly, basically without engaging my mind, writing whatever came to mind. If it had been other authors, many would have chosen to abandon the story. But even at my worst, I will finish what I started without abandoning it, which might be my only virtue. Getting back to the book's content. Actually, the correct way to write this book wasn't to head in the direction of urban martial arts but toward the path of immortality texts. Simply put, to write in a manner where the timeline keeps fast forwarding. For instance, after the male and female leads grow up, don't slow down the passage of time, but continue to accelerate it. Encompass in merely a few 100,000 words, the leads marrying, having children, gradually aging, surrounded by children and grandchildren, and then countless descendants, generation after generation. At the same time, portray various evolutionary prodigies, falling one after another in pursuit of the mythical level creature status, becoming a grain of dust not worth mentioning in the epoch. Alas, it's such a pity I didn't write it that way. Lastly, something very important to say. I really like the female lead, Shen King Han. I really like the female lead, Shen King Han. I really like the female lead, Shen King Han. She's my favorite character out of all the ones I've created over more than 3 years of writing. Not sure what else to say. Let's talk about the new book. It's an original infinite flow with alternate dimensions. If nothing unexpected happens, it should be released on December 1st. I hope readers will support it then. Chapter 558, 318. Linziken, public enemy of the whole team. Linziken shattered the void and appeared behind Sou-mai Xiao, swinging a fist coated with the force of blood chi power, and with a might that seemed to destroy heaven and earth, he slammed it into Sou-mai Xiao's head. Sou-mai Xiao, with her keen senses, detected Linziken's attack almost instantly. However, Linziken was too fast, leaving Sou-mai Xiao no time to dodge. Quickly, only a loud bang was heard. Linziken's fist heavily struck Sou-mai Xiao's head. The powerful impact instantly turned her entire body into a mist of blood. Seeing this scene, the other experts all changed their expressions drastically, their faces filled with disbelief. This man had just evolved into a mythical level creature and was already able to kill an established mythical level creature with a single punch. How was this possible? Linziken paid no attention to the astonished gazes of the crowd. The moment Sou-mai Xiao turned into a mist of blood, his mind moved and he thought, devour. You have devoured a large amount of the 9-tailed fox demon's life origin and gained the biometric attribute Tail Shed Escape. Tail Shed Escape. When you sustain lethal damage, you can discard some of your useless body to be reborn. You have devoured a large amount of origin force from the 9-tailed fox demon, converting origin force into chi blood and spirit. Both your chi blood strength and spiritual strength have greatly increased. Your biological level has successfully evolved from mythical 3rd order to mythical 4th order. He evolved again. Indeed, devouring was the quickest way to evolve. Linziken looked at his own biological level, now elevated to mythical 4th order, and felt a slight thrill in his heart. On the other side, the mythical level experts present were each showing a look of terror. They all sensed that Linziken had evolved again. In just a few minutes, he evolved from a legendary level creature to a mythical level creature and then from a low order to a middle order mythical level. The speed of evolution was outrageously fast. This child cannot be allowed to remain. The Lord of Silence from the Wood Gods faction, deviating from his usual lifeless tone, exclaimed excitedly, he can devour other creatures' origin force to evolve himself, posing a threat to all living entities. If we allow him to evolve like this, we will all inevitably be devoured by him sooner or later. We must deal with him first. With these words from the Lord of Silence, the scene suddenly fell silent. Linziken's performance was too exaggerated, posing too great a threat to other creatures, causing the other mythical level experts present to feel somewhat uneasy. A creature that could grow stronger by devouring other creatures. According to the law of survival of the fittest, those weaker than him were doomed to become his food. At this moment, both Earthling and Origin Land's mythical level experts were wary of Linziken, thinking that a creature with the ability to devour others should not exist in this world. Let's take action and kill him first, then continue the great battle. Seeing the Earthling experts waver, the Lord of Silence immediately urged. Elder Li and Sima Xian from the Earth side both fixed their gazes on Linziken, a hint of murderous intent in their eyes. Both believed the Lord of Silence had a point. Linziken's devouring ability was too dangerous for other creatures. If Linziken were allowed to continue devouring, it wouldn't be long before all the mythical level experts present were devoured to nothing. Although it was cruel and despicable. For their own evolution, every creature would likely make the same choice. Therefore, Linziken's existence needed to be dealt with first. It needed to be resolved now. Otherwise, once the battle between the two realms ended, by that time Linziken might have evolved significantly more, and dealing with him would not be so simple. On the other side, Xianyuan Wanyu and Qi Qingmo were also watching Linziken. The former slightly furrowed her brows, hesitant, unsure what decision to make for a moment. Deep inside, she agreed with the Lord of Silence. But thinking that Linziken was an Earthling, she felt she should not take action against him. Meanwhile, Qi Qingmo also had myriad thoughts. However, she wasn't like the others, wrestling over whether to strike at Lin Zikan. Instead, an epiphany struck her heart. She finally understood why Lin Zikan could evolve so swiftly. It turned out that Lin Zikan possessed a biometrical attribute of devouring evolution, which allowed him to evolve as easily as drinking water. He had started his life in easy mode, evolving into a mythical level creature at the mere age of 20. Not far away, Lin Zikan, sensing the murderous intent around him, furrowed his brows and thought to himself that he had been careless. Previously, upon encountering a fallen mythical level creature, he had, driven by the urgency to devour, momentarily forgotten to hide his ability to devour and evolve from other creatures, blatantly exposing it in front of many powerful beings. This carelessness had now put him in the difficult position of being a public enemy. Take action, kill him. The Lord of Silence said to Elder Li and Sima Xian of the Earth side, seeing the murderous intent in their eyes, knowing they would definitely join him in striking. Buzz! As the words fell, the Lord of Silence's figure flashed instantly, shrouded in a sky-obscuring black mist as he attacked Lin Zikan. Seeing this, Elder Li and Sima Xian exchanged a look, then simultaneously mobilized the qi blood in their bodies, ready to join the Lord of Silence in dealing with Lin Zikan. One reason was that Lin Zikan was a great threat, and for their own safety, he must be eliminated no matter what. Another reason was that Lin Zikan had killed Su Maiziao, and as her beloved, they had hatred in their hearts, and now they could rightfully kill Lin Zikan for revenge. Based on the above 2 points, emotionally and rationally, Lin Zikan deserved to die. However, before Elder Li and Sima Xian could move towards Lin Zikan, Qi Qingmo had already transformed into a streak of light and charged out. The next instant, only a loud bang was heard. The Lord of Silence, who was rapidly attacking Lin Zikan, was instantly blasted into a large cloud of blood mist by the rushing Qi Qingmo, his life force rapidly fading, on the brink of death. But quickly, under the effect of everlasting, the blood mist began to regroup with incredible speed. However, just as the flesh began to reform, Qi Qingmo struck again with another palm, shattering him on the spot, physical and spiritual forms both destroyed, causing celestial phenomena. Quickly devour. After killing the Lord of Silence with 2 palms, Qi Qingmo immediately urged Lin Zikan. She was different from the other powerful beings present. She believed in Lin Zikan's character and wasn't worried that once Lin Zikan grew powerful, he would even devour her. Across from her, Lin Zikan didn't speak, but silently thought to himself, "Adoptive mother, receive my bow," then swiftly flashed in front of the Lord of Silence's mist, touching it and thought, "Devour. You have devoured a great amount of extremely yin ominous beings' life origin, gaining the biometric attribute Extreme Yin Body. Extreme Yin Body, in dark environments, your strength can increase significantly. You have devoured a great amount of origin force from the extremely yin ominous being, converting the origin force into qi blood and spirit. Both your qi blood strength and spiritual strength have greatly enhanced. Your biological level has successfully evolved from mythical 4th order to mythical 5th order. His biological level evolved again. Mythical 5th order now. Lin Zikan felt a surge of excitement within. Evolving several levels in a short period of time, and at the mythical tiers, gave him a tremendous thrill. In contrast, the other mythical level experts present all furrowed their brows, their faces showing unease. He evolved again. This 20-year-old earthling had actually evolved to mythical 5th order. If left unchecked, he would eventually surpass any of them present. At this moment, all the powerful beings present looked solemn, sensing a huge threat from Lin Zikan. Among them, Elder Li, Sima Xian, Xian Yu and Wan Yu exchanged looks, each pondering whether to take action against Lin Zikan. Now that the Wood God's faction was down to just the Wood God and Elder Tree, they were no longer a cause for concern. The greatest threat had now become Lin Zikan, who could devour and evolve. Qi Qingmo, sensing what those three were thinking, spoke with a hint of warning, "I will always stand with him, if you think of taking action, you better think it through." Her trust in Lin Zikin far exceeded her trust in those three. She and those three had all survived from that era and knew exactly what sort of character they all had. People from that era who could evolve to mythical level creatures, none were docile, all were ruthless. Including Qi Qingmo herself. She had sacrificed many living beings to smoothly evolve to the supreme mythical level, her hands stained with blood. And those three from her own era had done similar deeds. Therefore, compared to Elder Li, Sima Xian and Xian Yuan Wanyu, she was more willing to trust Lin Zikin's character and chose to stand with him. Seeing Qi Qingmo so strongly supporting Lin Zikin, Xian Yuan Wanyu and the others felt somewhat puzzled. With their understanding of Qi Qingmo, at this time, she should have been the first to attack Lin Zikin. But the reality was, not only did Qi Qingmo not take action against Lin Zikin, but she also firmly stood on the same side as him. This choice was completely inconsistent with her usually cold and ruthless personality. Could it be these two had some sort of unspeakable relationship? Xian Yuan Wanyu and the others suddenly thought of this, suspecting Qi Qingmo and Lin Zikin had a romantic relationship. Subsequently, Xian Yuan Wanyu, Elder Li, and Sima Xian all hesitated to make a rash move. Under the suppression of domain power, creatures like them, who relied on origin force as their fundamental energy, had their strength significantly reduced. While creatures like Qi Qingmo, who relied on blood qi power as their fundamental energy, were unaffected. In this situation, even if Elder Li, Sima Xian and Xian Yuan Wanyu joined forces, they might not be able to defeat Qi Qingmo, and might even be defeated one by her. Just as the atmosphere on the scene grew somewhat stagnant, the water god, who had been silent all this while, spoke in a cool voice. "Our priority right now should be to take care of the wood god and elder tree ahead. By taking down the wood god and preventing his fantasy of 5 elements unification, neither earth nor origin land will be destroyed. Besides that, everything else can wait until after this matter is dealt with." As the water god spoke these words, Elder Tree's face turned deathly pale, his heart filled with utter despair. While the leading wood god remained utterly calm, showing not a hint of emotion. Buzz! A sharp sound of air tearing suddenly erupted. Qi Qingmo's figure flashed, turning into a streak of light that charged towards Elder Tree ahead. Elder Tree wanted to flee. But his strength had been weakened by the suppression of domain power, creating an insurmountable gap between him and Qi Qingmo, unable to withstand her charging attack. Very soon, only a loud bang was heard. Elder Tree, unable to dodge, was directly smashed into countless wooden chips by Qi Qingmo, his life force instantly depleted, falling on the spot. Simultaneously, celestial phenomena filled the entire sky, and all woods withered. P.S. Basking for a monthly pass recommendation ticket. Chapter 559, 319. Mythical High Order Powerhouse? Taking on 2 alone. Surpassing levels to kill powerfully. You have devoured a vast amount of the world tree's life origin, acquiring the biometric attribute Master of Plants. Master of Plants, you can control any plant with a biological level lower than yours. You have devoured a great amount of origin force from the world tree, converting origin force into Qi blood and spirit, greatly enhancing your Qi blood strength and spiritual strength. Your biological level has successfully evolved from mythical 5th order to mythical 6th order. He had evolved again. He was only one step away from evolving into a high-order mythical being. Lin Zikin felt a surge of excitement in his heart. Elsewhere, transformed into a streak of light, Qi Qingmo had already gone alone to face the unsupported wood god. In an instant, flames soared into the sky, and terrifying aftershocks battered everything around, making the air crack like a spider web, a sight so alarming it seemed like the end of the world. Qi Qingmo was strong, so strong that she could single-handedly confront the wood god. The blood qi power she released was like the fierce sun high in the sky, radiating a scorching heat that seemed capable of melting everything. In just the blink of an eye, she evaporated the green vine controlled by the wood god into nothingness. However, the power of the wood god far exceeded everyone's imagination. Even though its strength was weakened due to the suppression of the domain power, it was still far more powerful than Qi King Mo at that moment. With just a thought, it summoned more and stronger green vines, carrying destructive origin force that launched towards Qi King Mo like an explosive barrage. Buzz buzz buzz. Accompanied by a piercing sound of tearing through the air. Countless thick, thorn-covered green vines, like venomous snakes bearing their sharp fangs, tore through the void and shot towards Qi King Mo at high speed. Wherever they passed, even the air was obliterated into nothingness. Facing the massive assault of green vines, blocking out the sun and sky, Qi King Mo was unafraid and once again burst forth with sun-like scorching blood Qi power, choosing to take it head-on. This time, however, her release of blood Qi power was ineffective, unable to harm the green vines at all. Under the envelopment of the green vines, she quickly disappeared from everyone's sight, bound by the thick vines into a cocoon-like shape and plummeted towards the ground. After dealing with her, the wood god immediately shifted its target to the water god, controlling a massive amount of green vines to rush towards the water god. Knowing that the energy within was running low, the water god immediately retreated and called out to Xianyuan Wanyu and the others, "Quick, come to me and lend me a hand to kill the wood god and bring peace back to earth." Hearing the call, Lin Zikan immediately rushed over to assist the water god. At the same time, with the thought, he quickly activated Forest Lord and Master of Plants, controlling the vines wrapped around Qi King Mo from thousands of meters away, trying to rescue her from the cocoon. From behind, Elder Li, Sima Xian, and Xianyuan Wanyu also transformed into streaks of light, rapidly flying towards the water god. Among them, Elder Li and Sima Xian's gaze did not fall upon the water god and the wood god, but rather on Lin Zikan ahead. The two made a decision to take advantage of Qi King Mo being bound by the wood god and unable to move, to join forces and quickly settle Lin Zikan. They believed in the evil nature of humans, thinking that if they let Lin Zikan continue to devour and evolve, once Lin Zikan evolved to become even more powerful than them, they would definitely be devoured by Lin Zikan. With this thought, Elder Li and Sima Xian exchanged glances, then both burst forth with origin force, charging at full speed towards Lin Zikan ahead. Seeing this, Xianyuan Wanyu sighed internally. However, she did not intervene. Instead, she pretended not to see and silently watched the water god and the wood god ahead, intending to lend her strength to the water god, disregarding Elder Li and Sima Xian's assault on Lin Zikan. Ahead, Lin Zikan was still rapidly flying towards the battlefield where the water god and the wood god were engaged, while remotely controlling the green vines wrapped around Qi King Mo to rescue her from the cocoon. Suddenly, he furrowed his brows, sensing two intense killing intents from behind. The moment he sensed the killing intents, he realized that his existence threatened other mythical level experts, and the mythical level experts he had threatened were now seizing the opportunity to attack him. At this, he felt a rare surge of annoyance towards his own kind. In the midst of a great battle between realms, they were still facing the enemy wood god, and yet Elder Li and Sima Xian, his own kind, were trying to make a move on him absolutely brainless. Cursing inwardly, Lin Zikan immediately changed direction, his qi blood and spiritual strength bursting forth, ready to face Elder Li and Sima Xian, these two disrespectful elders, in a 2-on-1 battle. Seeing Lin Zikan suddenly turn around to attack, Elder Li and Sima Xian were both taken aback. They were surprised that Lin Zikan could react so quickly and sense their killing intent. They were also surprised that upon sensing their killing intent, Lin Zikan did not flee but instead turned around to attack. What did this mean? Did he think, with his mythical 6th order strength, he could take on the two of them at mythical 7th order? Where did he get such confidence? As Lin Zikan suddenly turned around to attack, Elder Li and Sima Xian felt insulted and became somewhat infuriated. Then, the two simultaneously unleashed all the origin force inside their bodies, launching their greatest attacks towards Linziken. They intended to kill Linziken in one strike to avoid any unforeseen events. Boom boom boom. Accompanied by a deafening sound of energy fluctuations, two devastating forces, each transformed into a fierce bird and a fierce beast, swept towards Linziken at the speed of light. Chapter 560, 319. Mythical High Order Powerhouse? Taking on two alone. Surpassing levels to kill powerfully, _2. Linziken saw the situation and didn't shrink back at all, but with a thought, he sacrificed his own essence blood, raising his chi blood strength to the maximum, breaking the shackles of the mythical Sixth Order. Immediately after, with another thought, he gathered all his blood chi power into his fist and struck a fierce bird and beast that were attacking him with a punch. Then, there came a thunderous boom. The fearsome blood chi power, like a 10,000-meter-long dragon boiling with essence blood, bulldozed through everything in its path and instantly turned the oncoming fierce birds and beasts into nothingness. How is this possible? Elder Li and Sima Xian's eyes widened in shock, their faces filled with horror, unable to believe the scene before them. Soon, the 10,000-meter-long dragon made of blood chi power had reached them, instantly engulfing their figures. By the time the last of the dragon's tail passed, the two engulfed figures had turned into two clouds of blood mist, their life force rapidly depleting, on the brink of death. Linziken didn't give them a chance to regenerate from their flesh and blood. He flashed into position in front of the two clouds of blood mist, and with a thought, he unleashed a massive wave of spiritual power, completely erasing the will within the two clouds of blood mist. Afterward, accompanied by the celestial phenomena caused by the fall of a mythical level creature, he reached out and touched the two clouds of blood mist, with a single thought, devour. You have devoured a large amount of origin force, transforming it into chi blood and spirit, greatly enhancing your chi blood strength and spiritual strength. Your biological level has successfully evolved from mythical 6th order to mythical 7th order great perfection. Evolved to high order mythical. Linziken glanced at the text prompts in the void, a hint of excitement briefly surfacing in his heart. But the excitement didn't last long before he calmed down. The calmed Linziken immediately dove toward the ground, intending to rescue Qi Qingmo, who was trapped in the cocoon first. Meanwhile, Xian Yuanwanya was completely stunned, her eyes wide with shock and disbelief. Elder Li and Sima Xian had fallen just like that? Killed instantly by a blow from a young man merely in his 20s? Am I dreaming? For a moment, Xian Yuanwanya questioned whether she was dreaming or seeing an illusion, unable to believe that what she had just seen was real. The strength exhibited by Linziken had far surpassed her comprehension, breaking her understanding of living creatures. On the ground below, Linziken landed beside the impenetrable cocoon, and with a thought, activated the effects of Forest Lord and Master of Plants, instantly dissolving the cocoon and rescuing Qi Qingmo. The moment she was saved, Qi Qingmo, with her face pale, sat up looking extremely weak. The green vine that had bound her not only restricted her movements but also continuously sucked the chi blood from her body, causing her to become increasingly weak. Seeing Qi Qingmo's pale weakness, Linziken sensibly stretched his hand into her embrace, pressed tightly against her chest, and began to transfer his blood chi power to her without interruption. Under the nourishment of Linziken's blood chi power, Qi Qingmo's complexion quickly recovered some color. You evolved again. Feeling the power of Linziken's blood chi power, a look of surprise crossed Qi Qingmo's face. Linziken calmly said, just now, Elder Li and Sima Xian suddenly made a move against me. I fought them 1 against 2 and counter-killed them. Afterward, I devoured their origin force, and my biological level evolved to mythical 7th order great perfection. After hearing this, Qi Qingmo's face was a blur of shock. From a legendary level creature to mythical 7th order great perfection in one day, could this really be achieved by a living being? Boom! Suddenly, a loud noise came from the sky. Looking up at the sound, Linziken saw a scene of the water god failing to overcome the wood god, being struck from the sky by the wood god, who then took the opportunity to dive into the nearby deep sea and disappear. Seeing this, Linziken's heart tightened, and he shot up from the spot, racing towards the falling water god as fast as he could. He wasn't worried about the water god, but about Shen Qinghan's body. The recovered Qi Qingmo quickly rose into the air as well, speeding towards the battlefield above. During the high-speed flight, she was surprised to find that her flying speed was actually slower than Linziken's. She was shocked by this. Her biological level was at mythical 9th order, second only to the water god and the wood god. And Linziken's biological level was only at mythical 7th order great perfection, a level and a half lower than hers. Despite such a stark disparity, Linziken's flying speed was actually faster than hers, something she couldn't comprehend. She could understand Linziken evolving quickly, as she knew he could devour other creatures to speed up his evolution. But for Linziken to surpass the strength of a mythical 9th order with his mythical 7th order great perfection body, that she truly couldn't comprehend. No matter how she thought about it, from any angle, it didn't make sense to her. As she was pondering these things, Linziken ahead had already reached under the water god, tightly embracing the severely injured deity. To be correct, he wasn't holding the water god, but Shen Qinghan, whom the water god had temporarily taken over in consciousness. Soul search complete. Then, the wood god surpassed Qi Qingmo and the others, initiating an attack on the water god, depleting the water god's power until it fell into slumber again, and Shen Qinghan revived. Seeing the water god fall into a slumber, the wood god quickly dived into the ocean depths. There, at the bottom of the ocean, he sensed the three life origins pulsing. Finally, the wood god charged into the ocean depths. Qi Qingmo and the others, in pursuit. In the end, the water god was cunning, probably letting the wood god achieve 5 elements unification, then carried out soul possession on the wood god. The water god, without a physical entity, could not achieve 5 elements unification and had always been scheming against the wood god. It turns out the water god was the antagonist. The biggest boss. After the 5 elements unification, Earth and Origin Land began to crumble. To save both Earth and Origin Land, Linziken and the others had no choice but to besiege the water god. After the 5 elements unification, it was not satisfied and still wanted to study Linziken. It coveted Linziken's devouring ability. P.S. Bowing for votes. Seeking monthly pass recommendation votes. This book, in fact, the story ended from the moment the male lead and female lead grew up. The story written afterwards, I find very difficult, and gradually it became more perfunctory, essentially penning down whatever came to mind without thinking. If it were another author, many would probably choose to leave it unfinished. But even if I mess up, I will finish this book properly without leaving it unfinished, that might be my only virtue. Back to the content of the book. Actually, the correct way to write this book is not to take the route of urban martial arts but rather to follow the path of longevity fiction. Simply put, it is to write in a way that fast-forwards the timeline. For example, after the male and female leads grow up, we should not slow down the passage of time but continue to speed it up. Within a mere few 100,000 words, write about the male and female leads getting married, having children, slowly aging, surrounded by their grandchildren, and then countless descendants, generation after generation. Also, write about various evolution geniuses striving for mythical level creature and one after another falling, becoming a speck of dust insufficient to be mentioned in the annals of time. Ah, it's a pity not to write it like that. Finally, I have something very important to say. I really like the female lead Shen Qinghan. I really like the female lead Shen Qinghan. I really like the female lead Shen Qinghan. She is my favorite character created in more than 3 years of writing. I don't know what else to say. Let's talk about the new book. It's an original, boundless narrative of infinite worlds. If nothing goes wrong, it should be released on December 1st. I hope all my readers will support me then. She is my favorite character created in more than 3 years of writing. I don't know what else to say. Let's talk about the new book. It's an original, boundless narrative of infinite worlds. If nothing goes wrong, it should be released on December 1st. I hope all my readers will support me then.